welcome to Radio Now 95.3. This is the interview. I am Kayode Ladeinde. My guest today is Ier Jonathan-Ichaver. He's a justice advocate and social worker. She's also the co-founder of Cecil Empowerment Foundation, a disaster relief organization which supports internally displaced persons, that's what we call IDPs, and refugees. She is a member of the Governing Council of Grooming People for Better Livelihood Center, a microfinance institution serving economically disadvantaged women. She's also a member of #Fix Politics, an initiative aimed at fixing Nigeria and Nigerian politics. She's a candidate for the 2023 House of Representatives in Kwande-Ushongo Federal Constituency in Benue State. Meet my guest, Ier Jonathan-Ichaver. I'm sure you make some corrections there.
Ichaver, you did everything. Ichaver.
Yes. Oh, interesting. And good to have you. I'm
thank
really,
you for
really
having
excited.
me.
Let me start by congratulating you for getting the ticket. How was the journey like?
The journey was very interesting. Firstly, I really must acknowledge my party. Very women friendly. A lot of parties to encourage gender participation. Of course, there's been a lot of advocacy done, and so our party was very clear that the ticket was free for women. Of course, you support the party, you may make donations and all of that, but they didn't have those barriers to entry that sometimes women and young people face. So not only did the party have that, they had a program for young people called the Spartans. So if you were a particular age, I think below 30, and you participated in that program, whether you were male or female, and you wanted to run for office, it was also a free ticket for you. So for me, they've been very, very supportive. And that was one of the first really encouraging things, to see a party that was going to be so supportive. But also, to be honest, I'm very happy with what I'm seeing. INEC too has been very responsive. Of course, we've seen all the things with voter registration, extension deadlines, and support. For the journey in terms of just working at the grassroots level, I've continually served my community for many years. We've been doing a lot of work with displaced people and many other things, working with young children as well. And so we've, of course, seen the needs in the society, in the communities. So when I went to my community and told them, look, I'm going to serve, they said, welcome. We've been waiting. It's long overdue. You've been working in this community for over 10 years. And so the experience was well received. We've had a lot of challenges just in terms of dealing with some of the administrative challenges that we typically tend to have in Nigeria, be it the logistics. Because my place, if you know Kwande-Ushongo, is a beautiful, beautiful place near the Cameroonian border, in the south eastern end tip of Benue. And so we're right there, and it's a beautiful mountainous area near Ubudukatu Ranch. And it's a beautiful place, but it's not yet open to the world. So I'm very happy that we're opening up to the world. So it's been a great experience so far. A few hitches along the way. Some of it we've had to basically really get our hands involved and really deal with just making sure that things are done according to the Electoral Act and so on and so forth. But it's been a very interesting journey. Okay,
probably I need to let our listeners know that you have quite intimidating CV when it comes to what you've done with your NGO. But, people would have asked, why delve into politics? Could this not turn out to be a distraction? Some have had their fingers burnt in the past. Yeah. And it's not just the fact that you are a woman, you know all the bottlenecks about women being in Nigerian politics. I need to be very, very specific. And you are considering all these things, or have you considered them before you go into politics?
Yeah. Okay, great. So thank you for asking. I'm so glad you asked. I'm sure, as you read my profile, I'm a member of a fantastic group called Fix Politics. And we believe
that's where Obi Ezekwesili is.
Dr. Obi Ezekwesili is one of our founders. In fact, she's the main founder. And Fix Politics came about. We basically look at why is Africa not making progress, and it's based on three things. One, the supply of leaders, the kind of leaders that we have emerging. We need to change that. We need to have a values-based leadership. Also, the political system, the institutions, that guide that. For us, for example, our constitution, we've all been hearing the cries and clamor for restructuring. We're glad we've seen the Electoral Act, some of the changes that are have come about from that. We want to just have a more equitable and a just system from which to work, but that has to be put in place through our laws. We have to have a system that can work. And then most importantly as well, the electorates themselves have to be empowered. So we have a program even called the Office of the Citizen. We all have to be involved. And I'm glad we're seeing the enthusiasm. We've seen the Office of the Citizen at work with things like NSAS. We're seeing it now with so many other things. Even citizens now, like you and I. I'm sure you're involved in community work in your area. I'm sure you're supporting some people. You're supporting people in your village. People are calling you, oh, my mother is sick. This one, that one. We have this issue. That's your office. You're the Office of the Citizen. And you should get to determine who leads you. And you should be able to say, this, if you're leading me, I voted for you. You have to be accountable. So why get into politics? Politics determines everything, my brother. I realized that very quickly in my work with the NGO. So we've been working with IDPs for many, many years. And across Nigeria, in Lagos, we have a very vibrant program where we work with women and displaced women, and we support them with funding to do businesses and for their livelihoods. In Benue, we mainly do relief work. We take food to them, and we try and just encourage people who are displaced. And now if you go to Benue, there, of course, we know the conflicts that have caused displacement across Nigeria, whether it's Boko Haram, whether it's terrorist headers, whether it is village conflict or communal crisis and clashes. In fact, we started our NGO because in my own community, my grandmother, who was over 90, was displaced because the neighboring village came to come and fight with us. And she was running for her life at 1 a.m. And we began to see that even though we came in with relief materials, we brought food, we tried to help the children get back to school and all that, the government did not really do much. First, my grandmother died never being compensated for the losses she suffered. The people who came and burnt the village houses, including my family home, were never brought to justice. No recompense was made. We're talking almost 15 years ago. Now, this is the recurring story all across Nigeria. So I can decide, because I was in the private sector, then I went to the United Nations, then I came and started the NGO because I wanted to do grassroots work. But I realized that the politics that we play, they determine everything. So if you have a governor who does not care or who is not capable, does not have the character, the competence, or the capacity to come and make sure he begins to find solutions for your community, you are not going to go anywhere. You can be the biggest businessman in the world, whether it's an Alhaji Dangote or the banks or whoever.
But you're starting with the legislative arm. So
Absolutely.
How strategic is this?
Now, the legislative arm, like I said,
and this time even federal.
And federal, absolutely. Now, for me, it was a strategic decision because, one, we wanted to look at how are our laws working? What kind of laws do we even have? We have a constitution, for example, that is faulty. I think everybody agrees, or most people agree, that is faulty. So, for example, there's too much power at the center, and the states are crying. We know the issues we're having with our security. So it's very simple. Like when my grandmother's village, we were attacked in my village, for you to get the policeman to be deployed, they will have to call, the DPO will come. If they need stronger forces, they have to keep calling state command. State command will call for
Commissioner
federal.
Of Police.
Commissioner of Police will call. They will now call this one. And we've had situations where people have been either arrested and taken to a cell, and then they get a call from above, bring him to this other place, or the person is found walking around in the community in a few weeks, coming back to wreak even more havoc. We don't want that. We want community policing. We want police where we can actually police ourselves and see what's going on. That's just one example. And of course, we've seen some of the legislative bills that are being brought, that are coming out, whether it is on gender equality issues in Nigeria and so on and so forth. So for me, it's very important for us to be able to get it right in terms of our laws. It's also, of course, the Legislative House also has oversight functions. We need to be able to call in people and say,
maybe
okay.
I should quickly bring in here because of our time. But there are a lot of that I want to actually engage you. What's your take about the water bill? You know, so some have looked at it that some have given it a whole lot of, you know, suspicions that, oh, this is another way you want settlers. So, you know, these are common recurrent issues in your area, the settlers and the locals. How do you intend to, you know, make a move to have an end to this?
I really believe that, you know, when you enact laws, you need to listen to the people. For example, even in our constitution, we don't even have provisions for referenda to be carried out. So, I mean, we saw, for example, the EU vote for British people. When those that wanted to go, they did a referendum. They decided to exit, right? Some people were crying, some were not, but the referendum said, let's exit, and they exited. They're not dead. So today, if you want to do a water bill, right, if the communities are crying and saying they feel that this water bill is going to come and infringe on their own rights, you know, they're not confident in the water bill, you know, then you have to listen to the people. You know, if they feel that already we're seeing the central control of our resources has not worked very well, right? And we need to devolve those powers. So in the same vein, with the water bill, we need to be able to say, okay, what are your concerns? Okay, how can we fix it? And reflect our laws to do that. To be honest, I've not taken the time to really study it in depth. So hopefully I'll do that and be able to write some kind of paper on it. But it's a real concern because we're also seeing that a lot of the conflicts that we're seeing around these things is around water. Because, of course, we know about climate change. We're seeing all the high temperatures in Europe and all of that. So it's very important that we take into account the needs of everybody. The federal government cannot come and just impose, you know, things. How do they consult?
Since campaign hasn't started, you know, we'll wait till September. Probably we'll bring you back again.
Please.
But let's stay on the politics, on your party and the fact that there is a perception out there, I'm sure you're aware, that when you see people going into politics, it's about the jumbo pay. It's about the ostentatious life. And especially the lawmakers, so many things have been said about them.
Yeah.
I hope... Okay, let me find out.
We're going there to change that. Wow.
I know you're going to say that, but I'm looking at it that I hope your money is not going to end up going to your primary constituency. I'm talking about being an NGO, the IDPs and the rest. Or you're going to fight for a court in this pay. Because we've had a situation where lawmakers said, let's reduce this money.
Absolutely, we will have to reduce it. Nigeria cannot even afford jumbo pay. I mean, for goodness sake, how is it that for a country that is at the bottom 50th of the League of Nations with the Human Development Index, with the high rate of poverty that we have, with the challenges we have in our communities, the loss of lives, all those things, how is it that we have the highest paid legislators in the world? Doesn't make sense.
But how logical it is for you to say, reduce my money.
We all have to sacrifice. When I left the United Nations, I know how much I was earning. And I came back to come and do my NGO work. I keep telling people, even with my campaign right now, I've not put 1 naira of my money into my campaign. That's because I don't have it. I don't have any money. My campaign is being sponsored and funded by friends and family and well-wishers and people who really want a change, who know our track record, my track record. So when we came, I know what kind of pay cut I took when I was leaving the United Nations. I was in Geneva, came back to Nigeria. You know, maybe I was probably, at that point, I was now taking some allowance of 50,000 naira allowance, right? Yeah, I was living on my savings and all of that. Of course, over time, those deplete. But what I've found is that there's no greater joy. There's no point you making all this money and you're not secure in your community. I can make all the jumbo pay I want to make. They'll come and be kidnapping my mother, my poor aged mother, my poor aged dad, or my brother. We're seeing that everywhere. Who wants to live like that? I'm not interested in holidays abroad. To be honest, I've traveled.
Here, let's look at this.
Let us work on making sure that our communities are sustainable.
Get all
our
these
incomes,
benefits.
We have more equity, and you cannot have.
Let me quickly touch on a few other things before I let you go. Let's look at the phony, we call it phony, but very, very serious, disturbing statistics. Out of 109 senators, we currently have 8 women.
Yes.
And
then out of 360, we only have 18 in the House of Reps.
Quite terrible. And so when we did our calculation, almost like 4 to 5%.
Yes, 4.6% to be
basically,
precise.
we're looking at you are not even in any of the so-called popular parties, APC, PDP.
Yes.
So you're dealing with 2 hurdles there.
Yes.
A woman and also probably, I don't know whether we can call you the third force now.
We're the credible alternative, as they say, and we are part of the third force. Now, to be honest with me, I don't see them as hurdles. We really need to change our mindset. By the way, my father is a chieftain in one of the big ones. I won't say which one.
Interesting.
And he says to me, yeah, why didn't you come to my party? We would have given you... I said, Baba, I cannot work in your party. There's no room for us. You guys, I'm sorry to tell you, your generation, we love you. Out of respect, we don't tell you. But your generation has finished this country. And we cannot continue with your mindset. And we're seeing that. So there's no innovation, and that is why we have the economics that we have. We have the challenges that we're having, where our GDP is actually declining constantly. The purchasing power parity of your naira is not the same as it was even 2 years ago. Now, you have a leadership class, generally, who are more interested in going abroad for their medical checkups and their holidays. Some of them, their families don't even live here. We know what is happening with one of our senators right now, with his health, the challenge of a health family member and the court case he's facing in the UK. And I always say, why can't we use our older leaders, our older parties? This is not how they think. What they have is prebendalism, where they're thinking about the Colombian, let me put that word, forgive my English, Colombian, the national cake. Let us share it among ourselves. Let's say colloquial English. Thank you very much. So even when you go to the bigger parties, with all due respect, I'm not saying everybody there is a bad person. I don't even think they're bad. It's just that's what they're used to. So imagine we've had how many years? 23 years since 1999.
Uninterrupted, yeah.
Uninterrupted so-called democracy, and this is where we are. It doesn't make sense. And it's time for new minds, new brains, new energy. We have new energy. We believe in Nigeria. My take is, if your children are schooling abroad, you're a public officer, a politician, elected into public, you're a senator, a House of Reps member, whoever, a president, or whoever you are, a governor. If your children are schooling abroad, right? If you are going to hospital abroad, for some of the even more basic, some of the issues, you're going for your checkup abroad, you don't believe in Nigeria. So
are you going to be sponsoring this kind of bill?
Absolutely. Because one of my firm beliefs is that come on, ASU has been on strike for how long? The other day, one of our governors, saddened us as we were looking. He was busy doing graduation with his children abroad. Didn't we see the pictures? And the one that even pains me, you're not even ashamed to come out. You are putting the picture for the whole world to see. So what you're telling the world is that I have failed to fix my educational system. Let me come here and display my failure for everybody. We cannot...
Because the reason why I'm saying this is, for example, do you have party agents that will be across different polling stations?
My brother, let me tell you, Office of the Citizen is at work. Office of the Citizen is at work. Where we are now with PVC, the CVR, the Electoral Act, many of the things we're seeing, right? It is the Office of the Citizen. It is people like us who have been working in the NGO space. People like you guys on media who have been talking about these issues that are forcing things. Now, the changes may not be coming as fast as we want, but the Office of the Citizen is at work. So in the same way, as I'm talking to you right now, one of my friends who's running in another state, Enugu, has just posted on Twitter. We had about 8 volunteers or so who went to help get 400 people registered for voting. I have people calling me from my constituency saying, what can we do for you? They're not looking for money. The young people are tired. We are tired. Even the old people are telling me, we'll work for you. Just tell us what you want us to do. So I say, okay, you will do party agent. You will help us register voters. You will help us go and tell people that it is time for a real
This will be
change.
my last question because of time, because I have to go back to...
so much fun.
Yeah.
I'm getting carried away.
Okay,
Carry on,
finally, what is your take on the politics of inclusion versus politics of competence? Why should it be you? Is it because you're a woman?
So, my brother, first, we've been playing...
You have 90 seconds.
Okay, no wahala. So let me just break it down for you. Do you remember the Falcons match day before yesterday? See the spirit of those sisters. My sisters, if you are listening to me, God bless you. Thank you. You helped us believe in Nigeria again. They gave it everything. Grit. They had everything that it takes, right? Now, fine, they were playing 2 women down, but we saw what they did. And that is what we're about. It's not one or the other. It has to be both, right? It has to be inclusion. You cannot be playing with only half women, men in the field. So what about all the other things? We're looking at improving our communities. You need all hands on deck. But not only do you need all hands on deck, you need your best hands. Even among our brothers that are there in the parties and all that. If they were the best hands for the job, would we be where we are today? No. So we need to make sure we bring everyone in, because all perspectives are needed. But not only is it all perspectives are needed, you need all of the best perspectives that you can get. And you can only get that when you have both inclusion, character, competence, and capacity. And that's why we have these gender quota systems. But it's not about just come and do it because you're a man, or come and do it because you're a woman. We want the best man and the best women for the job.
Thank you.
And wear it.
Thank you so much. Okay, I was going to call you honorable, but let me wait for you to see whether you're my
honorable officer of the citizen. So please, the honorable goes to
Thank
all
you
Nigerians.
so much, Ier Jonathan-Ichaver. Ichaver. Sorry. But don't worry. I think it's really going to be about the party you support during that day. So
support the candidates.
So by then we will find out. This is what we call it a wrap on this edition of the interview. It's been a wonderful time with you, Ier Jonathan-Ichaver. Let's wish you the best in the upcoming election. We wish that the best candidate will emerge. Yes, I am Kayode Ladeinde saying bye for the interview this week's edition.